On this second episode of Leading Off, ESPO and I go to the movies with the help of our official first guest on the show and co-host of the Three Ugly Guys podcast, Joe Stern, as we talk about the greatest moments in baseball movie history. Should be a lot of fun. Also, we got our wraparound with the current MLB news and notes, plus we got the Player Randomizer, which makes its return since the warm-up episodes. Should be a lot of fun, makes its official debut on the program tonight. All that and more on Leading Off. And we are live! This is episode number 2 of Leading Off, live from Studio 69 in New Jersey and REM Studio in Staten Island, New York, airing exclusively on Twitch and powered by StreamYard. And welcome back to the show on this Monday, March the 22nd, 2021. I am your host, Rich Rivera, and I'm being joined by my co-host with the most, ESPO.
Thank you, Rich, as always, for the wonderful introduction. Would toast you with my beer, but no beer this week.
No beer this week?
No.
Did you give it up for Lent? What happened?
It was a long weekend. We'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, I got you here. I got you covered, buddy.
You're drinking for both of us, but anyways, Rich,
Yeah.
I'm great. I hope you're doing well. We are closing in on opening day, buddy. We're almost there.
It's nuts, man. It's that beautiful time of the year. Of course, you know, if you're in the New York, New Jersey area, we've been looking at nothing but beautiful weather lately, and hopefully more to that to come over the next few weeks. I saw, I think down, later in the week, we're looking at a plus 60-degree day. So, yeah, we're getting there. You know, baseball season, normalcy, hopefully. You know, we got one of these ducks on the ponds topics. We're gonna cover some, a bit of normalcy. But yeah, dude, it's so exciting. It's a beautiful time of the year. Opening day. It really is. It should be a national holiday. It's just a great time.
I love it. And it's a holiday for me because I took PTO for April 1st. So.
You took PTO.
All baseball.
This guy, so committed to the craft and to the game of baseball that he's willing to burn one of his very limited PTOs just to watch baseball. Gotta love it.
Just dedicated to the game, man. What can I say?
But I'm glad to hear you're dedicated to the game, but I hope our listeners over on Twitch and our Twitter followers are dedicated to this podcast because you can listen to our archive clips, which are on Twitch, and if you missed last week's episode, shame on you, but you have a chance to redeem yourself. Previous week's episode is still up there on Twitch. It'll be there for another couple of weeks until we eventually move over to YouTube. Very professional on my end that we haven't moved to a YouTube page for all video show. But yes, we're still on Twitch for our first episode. If you want to check that out from last week, it is up on the Twitch page, and this episode will continue to be on the current page until for another couple of weeks. So yeah, should be a lot of fun. A lot of cool things happening tonight. Obviously, we're getting to the news. We got our first official guest over from the Three Ugly Guys podcast, Joe Stern. He's going to talk about some baseball movie moments. So we also got our Player Randomizer tonight, as I already mentioned in our intro. So we got a lot of fun stuff going on tonight. Fun episode. That's what we do here Leading Off. We talk baseball, but we're more than just baseball. We want to cover it all, and we want to have some fun.
Yes, sir. Let's get right down to it, Rich.
All right. Well, I guess we'll start off with Ducks on the Pond, which is our typical news segment and our rundown of everything going on in baseball. We'll start it off, locally here. This was brought up on Thursday from esteemed, critically acclaimed, whatever you want to say, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who announced that New York ballpark, Citi Field, Yankee Stadium, can begin opening up at 20% capacity to their fans. That's starting on April 1st, which is, coincidentally opening day. So that's going to be in effect in a couple of weeks. So I mean, I'm trying to cover this topic and not be political. It's not a political show. I'll get into the baseball politics and the politics of baseball. I don't want to get into the politics of politics. I don't want to get into red versus blue. I don't want to get into, COVID and vaccines and all this good stuff.
I will say this, Rich. Wearing a dual Mets and Yankees mask,
yes,
is an impeachable offense.
Great way to start it. Great way to start it because I don't think anybody loved that Andrew Cuomo did that. I mean, wearing the double-sided mask was something else. It was something else. It's just uncalled for. He calls himself a New York baseball fan, but I don't think any side, the Yankees or Mets fans, want to accept Andrew Cuomo after doing a stunt like that.
I don't want him.
Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. So 20% capacity. Alex, so what? Who's Alex? Espo, what do you think?
I think it's smart. I think my opinions on the matter are well documented. My stance towards COVID, but again, we're not going to get into that. But 20% capacity, I think it's a good move. Not 100% right off the bat. I think we can gradually get back to it, but there's no reason to be overzealous or over aggressive. Just I'm of the belief that kind of just got to play it safe for now. But I definitely think I'll be at a game this summer for sure.
And we covered it a couple of weeks ago on one of the warm-ups when we talked about Globe Life Stadium opening up to 100% capacity on opening day, which we had our first guest technically there, but like that was warm-up. Joe Puglisi, when he talked about Texas opening up at 100% capacity, where I think all three of us were on the same notion of like 100% capacity opening day, kind of crazy, but Texas is doing Texas. Florida is doing Florida, and you know what? Right now, New York is going to do New York, and
right.
they think that this is the best.
Every region just does their own thing differently, and that's just kind of is what it is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. I think 20% capacity is a good way to start. I think hopefully by mid-season to late season, we'll see that tick up to 50. And you never know. Maybe by opening day next year, we go maskless, 100% capacity, 2022 opening day. Just being hopeful here. So
I will say this. We have had good weather lately, but the weather in April for baseball isn't always that great. So I'm not sure I'm anxious to get out to Citi Field right away. I can remember sitting in the upper deck for some April games and freezing my ass off. So
same.
Count me out for till at least the summer.
You need to stay away from upper deck seats in April. It is unbelievably cold. I remember going to, I think it was the game where James Paxton had his first standout performance with the Yankees. He struck out 10 plus Red Sox. It was a ridiculous performance by him. But I remember being way up in the upper deck on the left side before I got hurt, of course. Way up in the upper deck, freezing my ass off, and I only had something as light as this. So I was like, damn, really needed the jacket that night. So yeah, stay away from the upper deck if you're going to an April game. Yeah, way too cold. And probably way too expensive if it's a 20% capacity deal. So I'm not looking forward to seeing those ticket prices.
This couch right here, that's where I'll be watching opening day.
Smart move. I'd say that's a smart move. Speaking of opening day, chat's going crazy right now. Corey Fav says, I took it off April 2nd to make it a long weekend. Again, back to the commitment to the craft. Riff0302 said he took off for this episode. That is real dedication. And we'd love to see that.
That's off.
And Core Ryan also 4-1 and 4-2 he took off as well. So a lot of dedication, a lot of baseball fans, a lot of activity going on in on our Twitch chat. So we love to see it. Let's move on to our next news piece. We're going to keep it in New York here and talk about Carlos Carrasco. Unfortunately, Cookie, we talked about his injury status a couple of weeks ago, and now he is going to be out with a torn hamstring, and he's going to be missing. Looks like about 6 to 8 weeks. Following his procedure. I guess I'm guessing he's going under surgery. What more do you have on Cookie Carrasco?
It's not good. It's not good for the Mets. I can tell you that. 6 to 8 weeks. It's kind of the worst case scenario for Carrasco. He was actually suffering from some elbow soreness earlier in the spring, but obviously this is a much more severe injury that's going to sideline him for the better part of 2 months. So really just terrible news for the Mets, but this just underscores the importance of having depth in your rotation. They signed Tawan Walker and Joey Lucchesi as well, and I think they're going to be big contributors in the other part of the season.
Great comment in the chat from Corey Faz. Mets death. Can't say that word. Mets death, because it kind of sounds like I'm saying debt, and now I'm thinking tax season. So not a good time. Mets death. Game changer this year. Have at least 3 solid backup options, which they do, and even with Carrasco going down, the top 3 that got going is DeGrom, Stroman, and Taijuan Walker, as you just mentioned. But also you got David Peterson. I think essentially has been guaranteed a spot now. With this injury news.
Even Yamamoto, he's going to be a good depth piece. He might be in the minors, but he's a good swing man.
Right, and they have, in my opinion, 3 solid options to crack 2 final spots in that rotation. I saw Jared Eichhoff also pitch today, who formerly did some tours of duty with the Phillies and the Padres. Right. But yeah, they have a few guys that they can go with some experience. So yeah, I mean, the Mets are still in a decent spot, even with the loss of Carrasco and already losing Syndergaard for most of the year. So, yeah, we're hoping for the best for Cookie. Great guy. He's just like, he's wearing paint on his sleeve. He's been through so much hell over the last few years.
Always got to root for him. Can't not.
We hope for the 100%, and we hope for the best for Cookie Carrasco. And finally, let's talk about, I guess it is the son of a former Met and the son of a former Yankee.
Yes.
Al Leiter we're talking about, Jack Leiter, who threw a no-hitter for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Now, Jack Leiter, if you haven't heard him, you have to do your research on him, because this is a guy who's going to be coming up for the first-year player draft come June. I mean, this is a guy who may go first overall. I mean, they're talking about him and Kumar Rocker. So if you're a Pirates fan or a Texas Rangers fan, you're very excited for this draft coming up this year. But Jack Leiter throwing a no-hitter, the first that we know about. Obviously, there's probably plenty of other no-hitters that we've never heard of somewhere around the world. There's got to be some other no-hitter. But at least the first that's been broadcasted by the mainstream sports media, Jack Leiter throwing a no-hitter.
Right, and I guess I have to admit, I don't follow college baseball as much as I do the majors, and that's something I do want to get into more. But, I mean, still, throwing a no-hitter, regardless of any level of competition, is an impressive feat. And 16 batters, that just shows his level of dominance. And I think whichever team gets him in the draft this summer is going to be getting a stud. Him and Rocker both are looking like future aces.
Oh yeah, 100%, and it's going to be a very exciting time when the draft comes around, because now you have some solid people in that draft. And the baseball draft's kind of tough to watch because these guys won't come up for another 3-4 years. It's not like the hype with the NBA or the NFL draft. But yeah, it's exciting to see like two big names off the bat are going to be like, yeah, these are highly touted guys that if you're a fan of those lower ranked teams, like it's an exciting time for.
You're
for
one
them.
of those teams. Would you be tanking on purpose for one of those guys?
I mean, no.
They're already gonna.
I'd still try to win. Yeah, it's just tough, but and you have like a beast like Spencer Torkelson getting drafted last year, and who knows, he might be up with the Tigers as soon as the September call-ups in this year. So you never know what it comes down to these players. You never know when it's going to be their time to shine. It's a different animal when it comes to the baseball draft. But yeah, we'll see. But we are excited to see a guy like Jack Leiter in the big leagues. But hey, make sure to follow us on Twitter at LeadingOff2021. You can follow Espo at
The Life of Espo.
You can always follow The Life of Espo on Twitter, and you can follow me at Rich J. Rivera. But you could also follow our next guest, who's going to be our first guest officially here on Leading Off, at Three Ugly Guys, because he doesn't have his own personal Twitter for whatever reason. But his show, Three Ugly Guys, the three-headed monster that you can listen to on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you get your podcasts from. You can listen to him and also his two co-hosts, Paul Valentino and Corey Lewis. Three Ugly Guys podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bring on Joe Stern to the show.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
What's up, Mr. Stern? No, and thank you for joining us. Quick background on him. Joe, huge Yankee fan, huge baseball guy. He's been doing podcast stuff with me way back in the day. Discussion at midnight, little 3-count action, but now he's got his own show.
Rich is talking like 10 years ago. Or more.
Yes.
Holy crap.
A very long time ago, when my only microphone was this cell phone right here and bad Wi-Fi, it was something else, but we got through it. And Mr. Stern, all these years later, now has his own podcast. Look at him.
Yeah, look at me. Something that I never really thought I was going to do on my own. Never really had any intentions of doing it. And then being two of my friends, Paul and Corey, who Rich talked about, over COVID, Corey kind of brought up the idea, we got the uncanny ability to just sit down and just talk like 6 hours straight about nothing. We're like, why don't we just record ourselves and make a podcast out of it? Here we are, about I'd say 6 or 7 months later or so, and we're killing it. We like it. It's a lot of fun.
It's crazy, and I think you're at now 43 episodes with a new one launching every Monday. So
every
Monday fan.
Every Monday we launch a new episode. The one we launched today was episode 53. It was the first part of a 3-part series that we're doing. That's a sports movie bracket. We figured, we're on to March right now. The perfect time for a bracket. Yeah.
I think I saw some Adam Sandler movies in that bracket, Jeff.
Oh, yeah. So here's the thing that we did, and we did this on purpose. We threw some weird movies in there, and a lot of really strong movies came out of franchises. We clumped the franchises together because it was easier to narrow it down to 32. And we did on purpose. We did not seed it. We wanted to make it harder on ourselves. We wanted to piss ourselves off, which I'll tell you right now, it does happen. The final episode, I think, comes out next Monday, and we get upset. And we're hoping that everybody gets upset with us because, you know, it generates content. We want that. So it'll definitely be interesting.
Now, I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't listened into Three Ugly Guys, which, again, as I mentioned, on Apple Podcast, and Joe will give you the whole rundown. I sent the Linktree over on Twitter, so you can also go to Linktree and find everywhere you can listen to Stern and Corey and Paul's podcast. Now, without giving it away, what was the toughest matchup between all these movies that you've done?
Okay. I believe in the first episode, which came out already, we had, it was the Mighty Ducks franchise versus Remember the Titans. That was tough.
That's a tough one.
And then I can't tell you what they were, but in the final episode, we start like really blasting through the final rounds. We had a couple that were really difficult, and then the finale was actually brutal.
And I'm excited to hear it. Like, some of these matches have been really tough. I mean, we're talking like years of childhood and just watching not just great sports movies, just great movies in general that we just grew up on. And no, these matchups were great. I love that this segment's going down in March. But let's get into our own show. We got our own version. Oh, I'm not going to call us the Three Other Guys. I think I don't want to get sued by Joe, but like we're more like three handsome men hosting this episode.
You can't lie. I mean, I'm ugly, so we got to keep it. We got to keep it going.
Two and a half handsome men. How about that? We'll go with
take that.
I'll give you a 0.5. All right. Anyway, let's get into our own bit. We call it Top of the Order, where we're gonna rank our favorite baseball movie moments. If this thing wants to ever work. But here we go. Our favorite baseball movie moments of all time. We're gonna work down from 3 to 1, starting with Joe. So, favorite baseball movie moments. There's been so many. I'm sure, Joe, you've already talked about it when doing your bracket. So, Joe, why don't you kick this off at your number 3 position?
All right, so my number 3 position, and I'm not going to give anything away, but 2 moments I have are going to come from the same movie.
Okay.
So my number 3 is in Major League 2. There's the scene where Omar Epps is batting, and he's going back and forth with the Jack Parkman character, and he tells you, hey, when I'm coming around to score, I don't intend on sliding. And he's like, you got a death wish? And then he gets on first, he steals. Rube Baker hits a line drive down the left field line. Joe comes in. Joe's got him beat by about, 5-10 feet. And you get the slow motion sucker moment. And he fucking Superman dives right over him. He gets up, dusts himself off. And he's like, I told you I wasn't going to slide. It's Mr. Peckerhead to you. As a kid, I thought that was the coolest shit I've ever seen. Even though it wasn't real, it was a movie. And I always wanted to do that. Like playing Little League growing up, and I never got an opportunity. Every time I had to slide into home, I was beat a little bit, so I never had a chance. But I will say that over the years, I know ESPN has shown clips, and like other sports news outlets have shown clips. People have done it in real life. Like there's clips of like college games, and like just seeing it happen in real life is awesome. And how
about we throw it back to 4 years ago?
Yeah.
No, and that's a great moment. 4 years ago, Chris Coughlin jumping over Yadier Molina. It was the Cardinals the Blue Jays versus the Cardinals. And yeah, he was getting around third base, and of course you have like a Hall of Fame caliber catcher at the plate ready to take him out, and Coughlin just leaped him and was safe at the plate. That beautiful Omar Epps, Jack Parkman moment in Major League Baseball. You never thought you'd see that in real life, but yeah, that's a great moment. Espo, what do you got at number 3?
Number three. This was tough because there's just so many good scenes to choose from, but I'm going to go with The Sandlot. There's one scene that stands out to me in particular. I'll go with maybe more of a baseball-oriented scene, but when they're running away from the dog, I just love that scene. Just everything coming together with the music and what was the dog's name? Hercules.
Hercules.
That was just
Hercules.
a classic scene. The chase, and just really just an entirely memorable movie. But for me, that's just like going through everything, and there's the guys with the pie, and it falls over, and he's just going through the pool, and it's just I don't know, it's just a really nostalgic scene for me.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go at number 3. I gotta go Roy Hobbs, the natural, hitting the light tower, legendary scene, and probably for a lot of people would be up at like the number 1 position. But yeah, for me, that's an epic moment and a great movie. With Robert Redford in there. So yeah, I got him at number 3. Let's go number 2s now. Stern, go for it.
So my number 2 moment is also from The Sandlot, but it's the moment where the Little League kids ride up on the bikes, and then quote unquote shit gets real. They trade the barbs back and forth. Ham goes at it with the main kid, tells him he plays ball like a girl, which I mentioned on our podcast when we talked about Sandlot for the bracket. That's something you can only get away with in the 90s. But it is what it is. And then it led to that crazy game where they just kicked the crap out of these kids. Like, no contest. Like, you got these, they came in with the uniforms, they got the professional look and feel, and these like little hood rats in their jeans and their Converse just came in and wrecked them. And it always reminded me of like growing up, like playing as a kid, like, with my friends. Like, me and Rich did this in the schoolyard a lot, like the end of high school and into college. And like, sometimes we'd get to the schoolyard we'd play at, and there'd be other kids there. And we were like, the frick are these kids doing on our field right now? And we would have to play them. And it always reminded me of that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could definitely recall those moments. Shout out to IS-75 Schoolyard. Yeah, great. Alex, what do you have at number 2?
Who's Alex, Rich?
Who is Alex ESPO? And by the way, before you go, I want to apologize for the audio problems we just had. There was a lot of echoing going on, so I think we got it all fixed up. So sorry about that, guys. ESPO at number 2.
Number 2, we know one of my favorite movies, Moneyball, but the Scott Hatteberg scene I talked about it on our preview episode with our other Joe. But I just really love that scene, just the way it's filmed. It's very aesthetically pleasing scene. And just the way it just like a slow build up and just ends with just that beautiful finish. And the stadium's kind of dark, and it's just poetry, man.
Espo mentioning our other Joe from Staten Island. And I promise you, Espo, there are other people not named Joe from Staten Island. I promise you I will get somebody, named an Anthony or a Mike or,
I'll believe it when I see it.
But there are other people named Joe.
There are other people named Joe. And hey, happy belated St. Joseph's Day. That was like,
thank you.
Sunday or something. All right.
Yes. Yeah, the 19th. Did you eat pastries? I ate pastries.
I didn't have any pastries. My name is Dick, so I had no pastries.
Wow.
Number
I'm a bad
2.
Italian. I didn't.
This is miserable. Number 2, The Sandlot. I'm going to the 4th of July scene. And this epitomizes the 4th of July for me. And anytime I think of that holiday, I think of this scene. I think of the Ray Charles version of America the Beautiful going on in the background. And I think of Hamilton Ham Porter shoving a hot dog down his throat and then running out to play some baseball underneath the fireworks. I could only imagine us, Joe, specifically, just playing ball underneath fireworks or underneath the lights at the schoolyard. Like, that is such a great moment. That epitomizes that movie and that 4th of July scene. I think that's the best 4th of July scene ever in any movie, even with even Independence Day. That has nothing on the 4th of July scene in The Sandlot. Such a great scene. Number 1. Let's go with our number 1s around the room. Stern, what do you got,
buddy?
Number
1. So I'm going back to Major League 2. So at the end of the game, they got to bring in Ricky Vaughn, who's been struggling the whole movie. And you got that clown in the stands. He's like, "What's the righty, the vile thing?" And he's like, "Blow it out your ass." And he's like, "Oh my God!" And he comes out with the glasses and the shaved head and the vest. And then the girl in the whatever the hell you call it. She's like, "Crank it, Jerry." They play the music, and it's like this kick-ass, cover version of Wild Thing
from X.
The place is rocking. Like, you just get goosebumps, especially as a kid watching that. You just get these crazy goosebumps. He comes in, he's warming up, and then like he walks the guy on purpose to get to Parkman, strikes him out, blows it by him like 101 miles an hour. They win. It's just like total goosebumps. That whole scene. So I gotta go with that. That's always my number one.
That's
To this day, I still
fantastic.
get goosebumps watching that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch.
Fantastic pick, and
all
I'll get
those.
to it. But Espo, who apparently
Sorry, guys, I might be having
Espo number 2.
Sorry, guys, I might be having some audio issues. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Okay,
you're good.
great.
Yeah.
All right, so another goosebump-inducing scene. I got to go with Field of Dreams, the ending, when the hey Dad, you want to have a catch? I mean, there's just really not much more to say about that scene. It speaks for itself. You know, if you've ever played catch with your dad before, it's just hits differently. You know.
Real tearjerker.
No, yeah, of course. And it's funny because I had that scene like just missing the 3 because I knew Espo was going to bring up that scene, so I didn't want to cross.
Yep.
I didn't want to cross paths. But what I wasn't expecting was Joe Stern to have the same number 1 as me, because the Ricky Vaughn scene in Major League 2 is the best baseball movie scene of all time. It's so epic, and yes, the cover version by X, just X, of Wild Thing.
Thank you, because I couldn't remember.
So epic. Definitely number 1. And yeah, I think that'll do it for top of the order. And that's going to do it for Mr. Stern on our show. Joe, we thank you so much for joining us through all the technical issues and all. We apologize for it, but thank you for joining us. I look forward to doing more work with the Three Ugly Guys. And yeah, make sure, listen to Stern. And you know what, Stern, you give it away. How do you look for the Three Ugly Guys?
Thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it. Very happy I came on. Good stuff going on over here. I'll plug myself a little bit. So if you want to listen to my podcast with my friends, Paul and Corey, Three Ugly Guys, you can check us out on Podbean, Spotify, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, or Apple Music. If you want to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Three Ugly Guys.
There you have it. Joe Stern, thanks for joining us.
Guys, again, thank you so much for having me.
Take care, buddy. Joe. All right. Another Joe from Staten Island. I think we did good there with Mr. Stern.
A bunch of paisanos. That's all you got. You just got a pipeline of them. You're just bringing them in every week, huh?
You just got, like I said, Joe's, Anthony's, Mike's, all that good stuff. That's all we got here on the island. Forget about it. Okay. Again, you can make sure to follow us on Twitter while we continue our preseason preview. We're almost done, Espo. We're doing great with the preseason previews. Tomorrow, I believe it's my turn. I have the Toronto Blue Jays, which is perfect that Espo's wearing that hat. Yes, the Toronto Blue Jays, which of course they had a very fun offseason, bringing in George Springer and Marcus Semien.
Fun, I would say.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So we get to talk about that. Espo just did his report on the Cardinals today. So we're seeing the true contenders for the playoffs. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and it's going to be a shame when we have to wrap things up with opening day around the corner.
I'm hyped, man. We're almost there.
He's like, by the way, do you have a blackout or something?
No.
You were just completely in the dark over there.
When the show started, it was still kind of light out, and then I didn't want to get up because the conversation is just that good, and since then it's kind of gotten dark out. So we're rolling with it, but I've increased the brightness on my computer. So you know what? We're going with it.
And that had nothing to do with our audio issues at all. The audio issues was a whole different thing. But yeah, it's funny just to see Espo in the dark there. But he's completely illuminated by his laptop or computer. So that's great to see. All right, we're going to finish things up with the player randomizer real quick while we have a couple minutes left. This is basically me and Espo going to go back and forth and just like we're going to give each other one player while the other co-host tries to rattle off as much accomplishments and stats that they may know off the top of their head. So I'm going to go first this time, Espo. I'm going to give you the player. So okay. I want to hear what you know most about this person. Nyjer Morgan.
Nyjer Morgan. Well, the first thing that comes to mind was that he was a bit of a hothead. I know he always found himself in the middle of some bench clearing brawls. I do remember him quite vividly for that. I know he had some good stirrup socks. Those were good. He always had a good sense of style. Great center fielder. I just always remember him stretching out and just making incredible diving plays. Probably the most memorable team I remember him with was probably had a good stint with the Brewers, I'd say. But good old Nyjer. I think he went to Japan or Korea, I want to say as well, no?
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty much on the money with everything you said. Most notably with the Brewers, had the walk-off series clinching hit back in the 2011? Yeah, 2011 NLDS. So Nyjer Morgan Also had like a weird, what was his Tony Plush.
Tony Plush. What a nickname.
Like alias. Weird dude, weird guy in the game, but one of those names. And yes, part of a couple of brawls. I remember him getting clotheslined by Gabby Sanchez with the Marlins, Hulk Hogan style. So yeah, it was nuts. Nyjer Morgan. So what do you got for me, Espo?
Nyjer Morgan. Wow. I'm just Tony Plush. That nickname is just bringing back memories.
There's definitely a Tony Plush somewhere in Staten Island. You know that.
Tony Plush. Isn't that your bookie, huh? Anyways.
You don't know about my bookie.
I got one for you, Rich.
What do you got?
Delman Young. What do you know about Delman Young?
Delman Young. Okay, so because there's Delman and there's Delwyn. So Delman Young, I remember when he was with the Durham Bulls back in the day for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, he got into it with an umpire and threw his bat at the umpire. I believe this was him. So he threw his bat at the umpire. Not a great way to start off his career. No,
not at all. Most people would be arrested for assault.
And somehow he got away with it and still had a career in the big leagues.
It's just baseball, I guess. I don't know, man.
The Rays, I remember him being in the Rays, the Twins, the Orioles, the Tigers, most notably, I think.
Was he a Devil Ray at any point, though?
Yeah, he was, like, when he came up. Or was he not? Did he never make a debut with the Devil Rays and was just traded? I mean, if my guy who just threw a bat at an umpire, like, did that before he got the call to the show, I'd trade his ass too.
He was with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays in 06 and 07. When he got traded, he didn't get to be a part of the fun in 08. You know who he was traded for?
What team did he go to?
Twins.
Twins. Who did he go for? Matt Garza.
Correct. Among others with the package deal, but another random guy. Also a notable
Devil Ray / Ray, depending on when he was traded. But yeah, Delman Young. That's pretty much what I got. I remember he was just a corner outfield guy, DH guy, and then I think he's still active in the game, but I don't think I think he's playing for maybe a Mexican league. The last time I checked in on him,
it's quite possible. I mean, he's still probably pretty young. Can't be more than mid-30s or something. But hey,
yeah,
just another random MLB player.
Just another random player on the Player Randomizer. Love to see it. All right, Espo, who you thanking as we wrap up episode 2 of Leading Off?
Who am I thanking? I am thanking Mother Nature for not bringing us any more snow or cold weather. Hopefully, I'm knocking on wood. Spring weather from here on out. I'm also thanking my local liquor store because they will be supplying me with beer next week. I swear I'm not an alcoholic.
Such a shock that you didn't come in and
what a way to end the show, huh?
Open. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I knew we were off. That's why we had all this audio and technical issues. You didn't have your beer, so you kind of like messed up with the mojo of the show. It's all on you, buddy.
Rich, I promise.
Want to thank all our listeners on Twitch and our viewers that pointed out the fact that we had some audio issues. So thank you guys for calling that out. I also want to thank our Twitter followers as always. Got to thank all our family and friends for support of this program. And we're looking forward to doing some more fun episodes of Leading Off and having some great guests like Mr. Joe Stern, who we want to thank once again for showing up on Leading Off, and also make sure to check out his podcast, Three Ugly Guys. New episodes every Monday, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. So that'll do it for another edition of Leading Off, sir. We'll see you next week. Take care.